Do you know that Miyamoto Musashi, one of the greatest swordsmen in history, never lost a single duel in over 60 matches? His mind was as sharp as his blade, and his lessons on strategy and discipline are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the mindset of Musashi and explore the powerful lessons he can teach entrepreneurs like you. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, these lessons will transform the way you think about success, competition, and self-mastery. So, stick with me till the end because the wisdom we uncover here could be the edge you need to level up your entrepreneurial journey. Let's unlock the secrets of Musashi's timeless strategy together. Number 1. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. One of the most powerful lessons from Miyamoto Musashi, a man who spent his life mastering the art of combat, is the idea of thinking lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. On the surface, this might sound simple, even vague, but when you really dig into it, it holds a profound meaning for anyone navigating the world of entrepreneurship. At its core, this lesson encourages us to step back from our egos. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of our own importance, to see ourselves as the center of every conversation, decision, or outcome. As entrepreneurs, it's tempting to think that our individual brilliance is the key to success. But Musashi warns against letting our egos drive us. Thinking lightly of yourself means recognizing that you're just one piece of the puzzle. There's a vast, interconnected world out there, and your role, no matter how significant you may feel, is only a small thread in the larger tapestry. Why does this matter for entrepreneurs? Well, when you start to see yourself as just one part of something bigger, you shift from a mindset of competition to one of collaboration. You begin to realize that it's not about proving you're the smartest, fastest, or most capable person in the room. It's about understanding your role and making sure you're contributing to something meaningful. This perspective can make a world of difference when you're facing challenges. Instead of stubbornly trying to prove yourself, you begin to ask, what can I learn here, and how can I adapt? Now, the second part of this lesson, thinking deeply of the world, takes it even further. Musashi wasn't just talking about keeping your ego in check. He was pushing you to go beyond your narrow perspective and consider the bigger picture. As entrepreneurs, we often focus on what's in front of us, our goals, our products, our customers. And that's important. But when you think deeply about the world, you're not just focused on your immediate reality. You're considering how everything around you connects and how your decisions ripple outward. The world is vast, and your actions, whether big or small, are part of something much greater. Think about the long-term effects of your decisions. What kind of impact are you making? How does your business influence the community around you, or the industry at large? When you can zoom out and see the world through this lens, you begin to approach problems with more empathy, foresight, and humility. But here's the catch: Musashi doesn't tell you to be passive or overly contemplative. It's not about sitting around pondering how insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things. Instead, it's about balance. It's about actively engaging with the world while maintaining an awareness of your place within it. Think about the world, but don't get lost in it. The world's vastness can be overwhelming, but it can also be a source of inspiration if you allow it to guide your decisions rather than paralyze you with indecision. This mindset shift can be especially powerful for entrepreneurs because it helps us stay grounded and adaptable. The business world moves fast, and things change in an instant. If we're too wrapped up in our own importance, we can miss the larger shifts that are happening right under our noses. By thinking lightly of yourself, you free up the mental space to truly engage with the world, whether that means staying ahead of market trends, recognizing opportunities for collaboration, or responding to customer needs with greater insight. Ultimately, Musashi's lesson is a reminder to stay humble and stay curious. It's not about diminishing your worth, but about broadening your perspective. When you stop seeing yourself as the main character in every story, you start to see the world as a place full of lessons, potential, and opportunity. And when you approach entrepreneurship with this mindset, you open the door to deeper, more meaningful success. Number 2, do nothing that is of no use. When we think about the phrase "do nothing that is of no use," it almost sounds like an obvious piece of advice, right? It's easy to brush it off because, in theory, who would intentionally waste time on things that don't serve a purpose? But if we really sit down and think about it, especially as entrepreneurs, this simple principle carries a deep, almost paradoxical power. Let's unpack that idea. Entrepreneurs are busy people. You wake up with a mountain of tasks, 1,000 emails, a dozen meetings, and a whole list of to-dos. It's easy to fall into the trap of staying busy just for the sake of it, to feel like you're moving forward when in reality, you might just be spinning your wheels. This is where Musashi's lesson hits home. Doing things just because they seem necessary, even if they don't actually move you closer to your goals, is a dangerous game. You might find yourself trapped in an endless cycle of actions that don't add value, but for some reason, you keep doing them. The key here is intentionality. Musashi didn't waste time with moves that didn't serve a specific purpose. Every sword strike, every shift in stance, was part of a larger, carefully considered strategy. Imagine applying that mindset to your business. Instead of throwing yourself into every trend or following every piece of advice that comes your way, you focus on what actually aligns with your long-term vision. You become hyper-aware of your time and energy, choosing only the actions that push you towards your goals. But let's be real, there's a certain rush to doing something, anything. It feels good to tick off boxes, to feel like you're accomplishing something. However, just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. There's a difference. The fast-paced world of business can easily trick you into believing that the more you do, the more successful you'll become. But Musashi's wisdom asks you to challenge that assumption. Sometimes, doing nothing is far more productive than filling your day with tasks that don't truly matter. It's about choosing quality over quantity, focusing on actions that yield the greatest returns. This idea extends beyond just your daily actions. It also touches on your mindset and the way you approach challenges. Musashi was known for his ability to stay calm, collected, and strategic in the heat of battle. The same approach can be applied to entrepreneurship. It's easy to get overwhelmed by every decision, every challenge that comes your way, but the wise entrepreneur knows when to step back and assess. Not every problem demands an immediate response, and not every opportunity needs to be seized right away. Musashi's lesson reminds you that sometimes, the best action is no action at all. By eliminating the unnecessary, you free up both time and mental space to focus on what truly matters. When you don't waste your energy on things that don't add value, you become more attuned to the signals that do matter, the ones that help you pivot when necessary or press forward with conviction when it counts. Ultimately, Musashi's words encourage us to strip away the distractions. The more we can detach from the noise, the clearer our path becomes. Doing nothing that's of no use is a powerful act of self-discipline. It allows you to invest your time, effort, and resources into what will truly move the needle. It's not about being perfect, but about being thoughtful and intentional with every decision. In a world that rewards speed and multitasking, this principle serves as a reminder that success doesn't come from running in circles, it comes from moving with purpose. When you embrace the idea of doing nothing that's of no use, you gain the clarity to focus on what really drives you forward. Number 3, accept change and adapt quickly. When we talk about accepting change and adapting quickly, it's not just some throwaway advice or an empty mantra. For anyone, especially entrepreneurs, it's the difference between staying stuck or moving forward. Musashi, the legendary sword master, might not have used terms like pivot or market trends, but if you dig deep into his teachings, you'll see that the core of his approach was about constant adaptation. Let's break it down. Musashi lived in a world of constant conflict. Nothing was stable. The old ways of fighting were always being challenged, and he had to stay on top of his game to survive. The moment he thought he had mastered his craft, someone else would rise up with new techniques or ideas. And here's the kicker, he never fought with the same style for too long. He didn't just adapt to changes around him, he actively sought them out. This wasn't about being reactive, it was about being proactive. He knew that if you stand still in the face of change, you're not just missing opportunities, you're falling behind. Think about it in terms of business. The market is constantly shifting. You get a new competitor, consumer preferences change, or a new technology is introduced. It's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking, "I've got this figured out." But the truth is, you never really have everything figured out. Even if your product is great today, there's no guarantee it'll be what people want tomorrow. And that's where Musashi's mindset comes into play. Instead of resisting change or clinging to what worked yesterday, he would have embraced the unknown, not as something to fear, but as something to learn from. Adapting quickly doesn't mean simply reacting to the world around you. It means becoming flexible enough to not just survive, but to thrive when things shift. Musashi wasn't rigid. He changed his sword techniques based on his opponent, the environment, and his own growth. He didn't just know how to fight, he knew how to fight in a way that would give him the advantage in every situation. That's a skill every entrepreneur can use. When the market gets volatile, when things get unpredictable, the ability to not only adjust but to do so with confidence is crucial. Now, adapting quickly doesn't mean jumping on every new trend or idea that pops up. There's a balance. Musashi didn't abandon his principles, he just applied them in new ways. In the business world, this is a big deal. Sure, you need to keep an eye on changes in the landscape, but you also need to stay true to your core values. Musashi was all about consistency in the midst of change. His ability to adapt was rooted in a solid understanding of himself and his craft. In business, the same applies. Know your strengths, know your purpose, and then adjust your strategies as needed. You don't need to throw everything out the window every time something new comes along. Adaptation is about refining, not reinventing the wheel. Here's something else to consider. Change can feel uncomfortable. It's not always easy to step into the unknown, and even if you know it's for the best, it can be tempting to stay in your comfort zone. But Musashi wasn't afraid to face discomfort head-on. He knew that staying in the same place meant stagnation, and stagnation meant defeat. Entrepreneurs have to push through that discomfort, too. It's natural to feel resistance when change comes, but growth always happens when you step beyond what's familiar. One thing that Musashi had in abundance was patience. He didn't rush to adapt just for the sake of change. He took his time, observed, and then made calculated decisions. That's a big takeaway for anyone building something. Don't just change for the sake of change. Take the time to analyze the shifts happening around you and figure out how you can use them to your advantage. Change is a tool. Don't let it be something that throws you off balance. Use it to sharpen your skills, to push your ideas further. In the end, accepting change and adapting quickly isn't just about staying afloat in a chaotic world. It's about using change as fuel for growth. Musashi knew that each battle, each shift, each moment was an opportunity. For the modern entrepreneur, it's the same. The world is always changing. How you respond is what makes all the difference. The quicker you can adapt without losing sight of who you are and what you stand for, the further you'll go. And that, in essence, is the path to mastery. Number 4, perceive that which cannot be seen. Perceive that which cannot be seen. It's a concept that feels almost mystical at first glance. How do you perceive something that's invisible, intangible, or hidden? It sounds like something out of a philosophy class or a warrior's manual, but in the world of entrepreneurship, it's one of the most powerful lessons you can embrace. It's about learning to see beyond the obvious, beyond the surface level of things, and understanding the deeper currents that shape success and failure. Let's break it down. The world is a lot more layered than we often give it credit for. We live in a fast-paced, results-driven environment where the visible, what we can see, touch, and measure, is often what gets all the attention. We're bombarded by numbers, statistics, and metrics. But Musashi's point here is that true mastery, true understanding, lies in perceiving the things that don't show up in a spreadsheet or a report. For entrepreneurs, this is about being able to sense the undercurrents. It's about recognizing trends before they surface. It's about reading between the lines in conversations, understanding the needs of your market before they're explicitly stated, or seeing opportunities where others see none. To perceive that which cannot be seen is to trust your instincts, to cultivate a sense of awareness that's sharper than what's directly in front of you. But here's the kicker: this kind of perception doesn't come from a place of simply reacting to what's around you. It's not about being a passive observer waiting for signs. It's about developing a proactive, intuitive way of understanding the world around you. It's like having a sixth sense that allows you to feel the subtle shifts in the air before the storm actually hits. Think about it. In business, the real power isn't in reacting to problems as they arise. It's in sensing them before they even begin to form. Entrepreneurs who succeed are often the ones who can spot a potential issue, opportunity, or shift in dynamics long before it's visible to the masses. They're the ones who can feel the tension in the market before the numbers start reflecting it. They understand that the world isn't just what we can see. There are patterns, energy, and forces at play that are just out of sight, but no less influential. This lesson also applies to the people you work with. On the surface, everyone says the right things. They're polite, they're professional, and they stick to the script. But the truly perceptive entrepreneur listens to what's not being said. They read body language, tone, and the subtle cues that reveal a person's true feelings. They pick up on that moment of hesitation, that slight change in mood, or the unspoken tension in a room. By perceiving what's not immediately visible, they understand more about the person, the situation, and the potential for growth or conflict. It's a little like playing chess, but on a grander scale. You're not just thinking about the next move, you're trying to anticipate the moves, the counter moves, and even the moves that might never happen but could change everything. You're not just reacting to the game as it is, you're perceiving the potential game that could unfold, based on your understanding of the unseen forces at play. Now, this doesn't mean that every entrepreneur needs to become a mystical sage, able to predict the future. But it does mean you need to cultivate a certain level of mindfulness, a quiet attention to the world around you, so you can begin to sense these subtleties. It means learning how to step back and really see, not just the things you're directly interacting with, but the broader, often unseen web of influences that are constantly shifting. To do this, it takes practice. It's not something that happens overnight. The best entrepreneurs develop this skill over time, through constant reflection and awareness. They learn to listen, not just with their ears, but with their eyes, their intuition, and their experience. They develop a sort of inner vision that lets them perceive opportunities and threats that aren't immediately apparent. In the end, perceiving that which cannot be seen is about sharpening your awareness to a level that goes beyond what's visible. It's about developing a deeper understanding of the world, the market, and the people around you. And when you can do that, you position yourself to make decisions that others might not even be able to fathom. Because true success doesn't come from simply reacting to what's in front of you. It comes from seeing what others can't. Number 5. Master the basics before seeking complexity. When Musashi talked about mastering the basics before seeking complexity, he wasn't just throwing out some generic advice. No, he was speaking from a place of deep, lived experience. For him, success in battle didn't come from dazzling techniques or fancy moves, it came from perfecting the fundamentals until they were second nature. This same lesson can be a game changer for any entrepreneur. In a world where we're constantly told to innovate, hustle, and look for the next big thing, it's easy to forget that a solid foundation is what truly allows you to scale and succeed. Let's break this down. As an entrepreneur, you're probably constantly surrounded by flashy ideas, trends, and breakthrough strategies. Everywhere you turn, someone's telling you that the next big move is the one that's going to revolutionize your business. But here's the truth, no matter how shiny or advanced those ideas seem, if you don't have a solid grasp on the basics, you'll find yourself constantly playing catch-up. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a wobbly foundation. Sure, you might get a few floors up, but at some point, it's all going to come crashing down. Musashi's point isn't about avoiding complexity altogether. It's about earning the right to dive into the deep end by first mastering the simple, foundational moves. The basics are like the bedrock of a house, they provide stability and structure. Without them, you're just building castles in the air. And in business, that's a dangerous game. You might be tempted to skip over the nitty-gritty stuff, the small, everyday tasks that feel less exciting, but it's these very things that, when done right, lay the groundwork for greater achievements down the line. When you start focusing on the basics, something amazing happens. You build confidence. The more you refine those simple skills, the more you trust yourself and your abilities. It's not about memorizing formulas or following a set of rules by rote. It's about deeply understanding what makes your business tick and what it takes to make things run smoothly. When you've got the basics down, the more complex challenges don't feel as intimidating. They become just another step in a natural progression. Let's talk about mindset here. Musashi wasn't interested in gimmicks. He wasn't looking for shortcuts or hacks. He understood that true mastery comes from hours, days, weeks, and even years of repetitive practice. He knew that only by drilling down into the fundamentals over and over again could he develop the kind of skill that would allow him to face any opponent, no matter how complex the situation. As entrepreneurs, we often look for that silver bullet idea or the trick that'll get us from point A to point B faster. But sometimes, we're just avoiding the hard work of getting comfortable with the basics, things like understanding your target market, building reliable systems, mastering sales, or perfecting customer service. Mastering the basics also allows you to spot the details that others might miss. Once you've internalized the foundational skills of your business, you start to develop an eye for nuance. You can read between the lines and recognize what's truly important, what's just noise, and what needs to be addressed right away. Complexity starts to reveal itself in a more structured, controlled way. You begin to understand how the little things, the details that once seemed trivial, play a bigger role in the overall success of your business. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't look for ways to improve, grow, or innovate. But what Musashi is getting at here is that you don't jump into advanced techniques until you've laid down the groundwork. It's not about rushing ahead without a clear understanding. The real power lies in having a firm grasp on the basics and then using that as a launching pad for further growth. As an entrepreneur, this principle is a call to slow down, to focus, and to master what's right in front of you. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of ideas and possibilities. But real success comes from knowing the basics inside and out and building upon them step by step. Once you've done that, the complexity will come naturally, and you'll be prepared to tackle it head-on. In the end, Musashi's lesson reminds us that success isn't about jumping straight into the deep end. It's about learning to swim by first mastering the strokes, one at a time. Build your foundation, and let the rest follow. Only then can you truly unlock the next level of mastery. Number 6. Remain calm in all situations. Remaining calm in all situations. This is one of those things that sounds simple on paper, but in practice, it can be a real challenge. Musashi, in all his wisdom, understood something crucial: emotions, when not controlled, can cloud your judgment. And in the high-stakes world of business, losing your cool can be the difference between making the right decision and making a huge mistake. But here's the thing, staying calm doesn't mean being emotionless or detached. Musashi wasn't a robot. He felt fear, anger, frustration. He was human, after all. The key isn't how he managed those emotions. He didn't let his feelings take control of him. Instead, he observed them, acknowledged them, and then chose how to respond. There's a huge difference between being swept away by emotions and choosing how to act despite them. As an entrepreneur, this is a game changer. Business is unpredictable. One moment everything is going smoothly, and the next, something completely unexpected happens. A deal falls through. A competitor drops a new product. The market shifts. There's no shortage of potential stressors, and when you're in the thick of it, it's easy to let panic take over. But here's where Musashi's calmness can be a guiding light. He was in constant combat, facing opponents who wanted nothing more than to throw him off balance. And yet, he remained unshaken. Why? Because he knew that reacting impulsively to fear or anger would only cloud his ability to think clearly. So, let's talk about what it actually takes to remain calm. First off, it requires presence of mind. You can't stay calm if you're lost in your head, if you're overthinking, or if you're already worrying about what might happen next. Musashi was a master at being present. When he faced an opponent, he wasn't distracted by what had happened before or what might happen after. His mind was fully in the moment. Entrepreneurs can learn a lot from this. When a crisis hits, it's easy to get caught up in the chaos, to imagine all the worst-case scenarios, or to start spiraling into anxiety. But that's when it's most important to take a step back, breathe, and focus. The moment you lose yourself in fear is the moment you stop thinking clearly. Another thing that kept Musashi calm in the heat of battle was his preparation. He didn't wait for a fight to start before thinking about what he would do. He studied, he practiced, he understood his surroundings. His calm wasn't the result of luck, it was a product of deep preparation. The same applies to business. If you've done the groundwork, if you've planned ahead, you'll have more confidence when things get tough. You might not know exactly how things will play out, but knowing you've done everything you can gives you the mental clarity to face whatever comes your way. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being prepared enough to keep your composure even when things go sideways. Now, let's talk about trust. Musashi trusted his skills, his training, and his instincts. That kind of trust doesn't happen overnight. It's built through experience and practice. As an entrepreneur, you'll face situations where you don't have all the answers. The key is trusting in yourself, your team, and your ability to figure things out. When you trust your process, when you trust your preparation, it's much easier to stay calm when things get tough. Confidence doesn't mean knowing everything, it means trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. Being calm also requires a deep level of detachment. Musashi didn't get emotionally involved in the outcome of a battle. Winning or losing didn't change his sense of self. He understood that the fight was just a part of his journey, not the whole story. Entrepreneurs can learn from this, too. When you tie your self-worth to every single success or failure, it becomes harder to stay calm. If your mood swings with every dip in your business, you'll be on an emotional roller coaster. But if you detach your sense of identity from external circumstances, you can remain more grounded and composed. Finally, let's touch on the idea of responding, not reacting. Musashi's calmness wasn't passive, it was deliberate. When faced with a challenge, he didn't immediately react. Instead, he took his time, observed, and made his move when it was right. Entrepreneurs need to do the same. When problems arise, don't just react impulsively. Take a breath, step back, and evaluate the situation. Responding thoughtfully takes practice, but it's a crucial skill that will serve you well when things get intense. So, staying calm isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about taking control of your mind, trusting in your preparation, and responding thoughtfully, not reactively. Musashi's calmness in battle wasn't just about avoiding chaos, it was about using that calm as a powerful tool to make better decisions, stay focused, and ultimately, succeed. For any entrepreneur, cultivating that same ability to remain calm is essential. When you can face the storm with a steady mind, you're always in the best position to steer your ship forward. Number 7. Embrace lifelong learning and self-improvement. One of the most powerful lessons from Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy is his unwavering commitment to lifelong learning and self-improvement. For him, the journey never ended. Even after winning countless duels, becoming a legendary swordsman, and writing his famous Book of Five Rings, Musashi didn't rest on his laurels. He kept pushing himself, kept growing, and kept learning. That mindset is just as crucial for today's entrepreneurs as it was for a samurai hundreds of years ago. The thing is, as an entrepreneur, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you've made it. You hit a milestone, your business is running smoothly, and suddenly it feels like you know everything there is to know. But here's the truth, there is no finish line. The world changes too quickly for anyone to ever sit back and declare themselves a master. Whether you're running a small startup or a growing empire, there's always something new to learn, and there's always room to improve. Musashi knew this better than anyone, and that's exactly why he continued honing his skills, never satisfied with where he was. Think about it, if you stop learning, you stop evolving. The moment you think you know it all is the moment you start slipping behind. Musashi's life was a testament to constant self-reflection and adaptation. It wasn't just about learning new techniques or acquiring new knowledge, it was about constantly questioning himself, examining his weaknesses, and striving to become better, not just as a fighter, but as a person. This principle is crucial for entrepreneurs because, much like a warrior, you're constantly fighting for the survival and success of your business. If you stop improving, you risk falling behind in a world that's always moving forward. Now, embracing lifelong learning doesn't mean reading every business book on the shelf or attending every seminar under the sun. It's about developing a mindset that's open to growth and improvement in every aspect of your life. It's about curiosity. It's about seeing every challenge as an opportunity to learn something new. It's about seeking feedback and not being afraid to hear the hard truths about your blind spots. Musashi understood that improvement comes not from staying comfortable, but from stepping out of your comfort zone and confronting your flaws head-on. Entrepreneurs often think they need to focus only on what's in front of them, growing their business, handling operations, marketing, and sales. But what about developing yourself as a leader, as a strategist, as someone who can make better decisions, build better relationships, and see the world from different angles? The most successful entrepreneurs understand that their personal growth is just as important as their business growth. They commit to being lifelong students of not only their industries but also themselves. Musashi also made it clear that learning isn't just about accumulating knowledge or skills, it's about applying that knowledge in real situations. You can read all the books in the world, attend all the seminars, and follow the best teachers, but if you're not actively applying what you've learned, it's all just theory. The same goes for entrepreneurs. Theory is great, but execution is everything. Musashi's success came from his ability to put what he learned into practice, to adapt and apply new ideas in the heat of battle. In business, this means testing out new strategies, tweaking your approach, and being willing to fail, knowing that every failure is a lesson in itself. Self-improvement isn't always glamorous either. It's not always about shiny new techniques or cutting-edge strategies. Sometimes, it's about doing the boring stuff, like refining your daily habits, learning how to communicate better, or simply improving your time management skills. But these little changes, these seemingly insignificant adjustments, add up. They compound over time and make you a better entrepreneur, one who's equipped to handle the inevitable challenges that come your way. One of the hardest things for entrepreneurs to embrace is the idea that growth never stops. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, to check things off your list, and to focus on the big wins. But the real work, the work that leads to long-term success, is in the commitment to continually improve. Musashi's life was a reminder that mastery isn't a destination, it's a lifelong pursuit. And in business, that's exactly the mindset you need. So, as you move forward, take Musashi's lesson to heart, embrace lifelong learning and self-improvement. Be open to new ideas, challenge yourself, and never stop evolving. The moment you stop growing is the moment your business starts to stagnate. Keep pushing, keep improving, and above all, never stop learning. Because as Musashi knew well, the greatest warriors, and the greatest entrepreneurs, are always the ones who are willing to learn more. Number 8. Move decisively and with purpose. When Musashi told us to move decisively and with purpose, he wasn't just talking about the battlefield. Sure, he was a master swordsman, but the core of his wisdom runs much deeper. For him, every action had to be executed with clear intent, and it had to carry weight. There was no room for hesitation, no space for second-guessing. Every move, every decision, was rooted in a larger goal. That kind of mindset doesn't just apply to fighting, it applies to anything that requires focus, effort, and direction, especially entrepreneurship. Let's break it down. As an entrepreneur, you probably already know how easy it is to get bogged down in options. There's always something new to consider. Should you pivot your product? Is this a good time to scale? What if you took your business in an entirely different direction? The possibilities are endless, and that's both a blessing and a curse. It's exciting to think about all the potential paths, but it can also paralyze you with indecision. That's where Musashi's lesson hits home: move decisively and with purpose. Don't waste time wondering what if, or running in circles thinking about every angle. Choose a path, and commit to it fully. What Musashi was really getting at here is a mindset of action, but it's not just any action. It's intentional action. When you make a decision, own it. Trust yourself enough to take the steps that will move you toward your end goal, even if it feels uncomfortable or risky. Too many entrepreneurs waste precious time second-guessing themselves. They get caught in the trap of overanalyzing every possible outcome, which only leads to delays and missed opportunities. Musashi understood that a decision without action is essentially no decision at all. It's a thought that fades away into indecision. But here's the thing: decisiveness doesn't mean rushing in blindly. It's not about taking impulsive action for the sake of doing something. It's about having clarity on your mission and purpose, and then making bold moves that align with that vision. It's easier said than done, right? It's one thing to talk about being decisive, but when you're the one responsible for every outcome, it can feel like there's so much at stake. The pressure builds up, and hesitation creeps in. But Musashi would remind you that indecision is like standing still; it keeps you trapped. Movement, even if it's imperfect, gets you closer to where you need to be. Decisiveness doesn't just help you get things done. It builds momentum. When you move forward with purpose, you create a ripple effect. Every action you take, even the small ones, sets the stage for the next. It's like building a snowball. As you move, things start to gain speed. The key is to keep pushing forward. The more you make decisions with conviction, the more you develop confidence in your ability to lead, adapt, and course-correct when necessary. You begin to trust that you can handle what comes your way, because you've already shown yourself that you can move with purpose. And it's not just about individual decisions, it's about the rhythm of your entire business. If you're constantly dithering, changing direction, or letting uncertainty dictate your actions, your business starts to reflect that. On the other hand, when you're consistent, when you move forward with clarity and confidence, You inspire trust in your team, your customers, and even yourself. Everyone starts to align with that energy. There's a contagious confidence and decisiveness. People start to believe in your vision because they see you believing in it, too. The beauty of decisiveness is that it creates a sense of flow. When you know what you're aiming for and are not afraid to take that first step, everything else becomes easier. The path may not always be clear, and the outcome may be uncertain, but when you're moving with purpose, you develop a resilience that allows you to adapt as you go. Life and business rarely follows a straight line. There will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. But if you're committed to moving decisively, you'll have the strength to pivot, adjust, or even fail forward. In the end, Musashi's lesson isn't just about making decisions. It's about making them with purpose. It's about showing up every day with intention, moving forward with clarity, and trusting that your actions will lead you to where you want to go. So, the next time you're faced with a decision, don't hesitate. Move decisively, with purpose, and see how it shifts the energy around you. The road may not always be easy, but the act of moving forward will always make it clearer. Number 9. Detach from emotions when making decisions. When it comes to making decisions, emotions can be your worst enemy. It's not that emotions are bad, they're part of being human. But when you're caught up in the heat of the moment, letting those emotions drive your choices can lead you down some pretty questionable paths. This is something Miyamoto Musashi understood deeply. He didn't just master the art of swordsmanship, he also understood the power of detaching from his emotions, especially when faced with crucial decisions. And that's a lesson any entrepreneur can benefit from. Let's start by recognizing how emotions mess with our decision-making. Ever notice how your thoughts race when you're upset, anxious, or overly excited? It's like your brain is on autopilot, but it's not taking you to the destination you want. Emotions have a way of distorting your perception of reality. When you're angry, you might see everything through a lens of frustration, or when you're overly excited, you might make impulsive choices based on optimism rather than logic. Musashi knew that to truly be effective, he needed to rise above that. In his world of constant battles, staying emotionally detached meant making decisions that were clear-headed, not clouded by fear or excitement. So, how do you detach from emotions when making decisions? First off, it's about awareness. You can't control what you don't acknowledge. Musashi was keenly aware of his emotions. He didn't try to suppress them or pretend they didn't exist. Instead, he recognized them for what they were: temporary reactions to the present moment. In business, this is a game changer. When you're faced with a tough decision, the first step is to pause and check in with yourself. Are you reacting out of anger? Are you overwhelmed with excitement about a new opportunity? Identifying the emotion at play is crucial because only then can you separate it from the decision-making process. The next step is to create some space. Musashi wasn't the type to rush into a fight without taking a moment to observe the situation. In business, this means taking a step back before reacting. When you're in the middle of a stressful situation, maybe you've just received bad news, or there's a tight deadline looming, pause. Give yourself a moment to breathe, to reflect, and to detach from that initial emotional surge. When you remove yourself from the immediacy of your feelings, it's easier to look at the situation from a clearer, more objective standpoint. Here's where things get interesting. Detaching from emotions doesn't mean ignoring them entirely. It's not about pretending you don't care. Musashi's detachment was about control, not suppression. He could be aware of the emotions at play, but he didn't let them control him. As an entrepreneur, this means acknowledging your feelings without letting them hijack your decisions. Let's say you're upset about a setback or worried about a risk. Acknowledge that you're feeling this way, but don't let it cloud your ability to think rationally. Take that emotion and use it as information. Are you feeling fear because something seems risky, or are you just afraid of failure? Are you excited because you're seeing potential, or is it just a fleeting high? By separating your emotional responses from your decision-making process, you can make decisions based on reason and clarity. A huge part of this detachment is also about focusing on the long term. Musashi didn't care about winning every battle, he cared about mastering his craft and emerging victorious over time. Entrepreneurs often get caught up in short-term wins or losses. Maybe you lose a deal or a project doesn't go the way you expected. It's easy to let your emotions take over, especially when the stakes feel high. But if you focus on the bigger picture, you're more likely to stay grounded. Detaching from the emotional highs and lows of the day-to-day allows you to stay focused on your overall goals. It helps you make decisions that align with your long-term vision, rather than being driven by the latest emotional impulse. Let's not forget the importance of preparation. Musashi spent years honing his skills, practicing, and preparing for battle, so when the moment came, he wasn't swayed by emotion. He could trust in his training and instincts. Entrepreneurs need that same level of preparation. The more you learn, the more experience you gain, the more confident you'll be when tough decisions arise. And confidence in your abilities means you won't be easily swayed by fleeting emotions. You'll know that your decisions are grounded in knowledge, not in reactionary impulses. But there's another aspect to this, having a clear sense of purpose. Musashi wasn't just fighting for the sake of it, he had a deep understanding of why he was fighting. Entrepreneurs need that same clarity. When you know your why, it becomes easier to detach from the emotional noise. You're no longer just reacting to every twist and turn. You're making decisions that align with your greater mission, and that kind of clarity brings peace of mind. In the end, detaching from emotions when making decisions isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's about mastering your emotions instead of letting them master you. Musashi's calm in the face of danger didn't come from denying his feelings, it came from understanding them and using that understanding to make more deliberate, effective decisions. As an entrepreneur, learning to detach from your emotions can lead to better, clearer choices, ultimately helping you navigate the unpredictable world of business with greater confidence and control. Number 10. Be prepared for battle every day. Be prepared for battle every day. When you hear that, it might sound a little intense, maybe even dramatic. After all, we're not out there fighting with swords and shields in the modern world, right? But if you take a moment to think about it, this is exactly the kind of mindset that entrepreneurs need. Musashi wasn't just talking about physical battles, he was talking about the mental, emotional, and strategic battles we face in our daily lives. In the world of business, the fight never stops. Entrepreneurship is tough. It's a grind. It's a long game where the obstacles seem to appear out of nowhere. Some days, things go according to plan. Other days, nothing goes right. And that's when Musashi's lesson of being prepared for battle comes into play. He wasn't just a master of combat, he was a master of mindset. To be prepared for battle every day means mentally arming yourself for whatever the day might throw at you. First off, it's about building the mental toughness to handle whatever comes your way. You might wake up feeling energized, ready to take on the world, but you can't always rely on motivation. Some days, it'll feel like the universe is conspiring against you. That's when the real battle begins. Being prepared doesn't mean having everything figured out all the time, it means having the resilience to push through when the going gets tough. It means training your mind to keep going, even when you hit roadblocks, even when you face setbacks that feel insurmountable. But it's not just about being tough. It's about being strategic. Musashi didn't win all his battles by simply swinging his sword wildly. He was always thinking several steps ahead, anticipating his opponent's next move. As an entrepreneur, you need to approach every day the same way. What's your plan? What's your strategy? Are you prepared for the unexpected? Whether it's a surprise competitor, a sudden market shift, or an unforeseen crisis, you have to be ready to react. Being prepared isn't just about reacting to what's in front of you, it's about seeing potential problems before they emerge and having a plan to handle them. This preparation also requires flexibility. Musashi's famous for his ability to adapt to any situation. He wasn't rigid in his approach, he adjusted based on the circumstances. As an entrepreneur, you can't be too attached to one way of doing things. The world changes fast, and if you aren't prepared to pivot when needed, you'll find yourself stuck. Every day presents a new opportunity, and with that comes a new set of challenges. Being prepared means having the mindset that you'll adjust, learn, and continue moving forward no matter what comes your way. Another crucial aspect of being prepared for battle every day is the importance of discipline. Musashi didn't become a legendary swordsman by showing up when he felt like it. He trained every day, relentlessly. And as an entrepreneur, you have to do the same. It's easy to get distracted or to let things slide, especially when you don't see immediate results. But the real work, the real battle, is won in the small moments, the daily tasks that you show up for consistently. Whether it's maintaining your business operations, building relationships with clients, or simply staying organized, it's the little things that add up to big victories. But let's not forget the importance of rest. Musashi understood the value of being prepared, but he also understood the necessity of recovery. A warrior who doesn't rest, who doesn't recharge, won't be ready for the next battle. As an entrepreneur, you're no different. Burnout is real, and pushing yourself too hard without giving your mind and body time to recover can do more harm than good. So, preparation isn't just about working hard, it's also about knowing when to step back, take a breath, and come back stronger. Ultimately, being prepared for battle every day is about cultivating a mindset of readiness and resilience. It's about training your mind, body, and business for the challenges ahead. Some days will be harder than others, and there will be times when things go completely off track. But if you've built the mental toughness, the strategies, the discipline, and the flexibility to face those challenges head-on, you'll find yourself navigating the entrepreneurial battlefield with a level of grace and strength that will carry you through the toughest of times. Musashi didn't just survive, he thrived because he was always ready, always prepared. And that's the mindset that can make all the difference in your entrepreneurial journey. Thanks for watching, and I hope these timeless lessons from Miyamoto Musashi have inspired you to approach your entrepreneurial journey with discipline, focus, and strategy. Remember, the path to success isn't always straightforward, but with the right mindset, you can overcome any challenge that comes your way. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on how to build a life of purpose and success. And as always, keep striving, keep learning, and keep moving forward, because, like Musashi, the journey is never truly complete. Until next time, stay disciplined and keep sharpening your skills. Take care.